Hey, I wanted to do something a little bit different today for the scent notes videos. I'm talking about a fragrance that's coming out and just what goes into it, and don't really have enough time to really get in depth into anything. It's just kind of big broad overview. I get a lot of questions, and one thing I wanted to talk about today in what is going to be a series of videos is just the ingredient, a series of videos about ingredients and accords and different materials and things like that. The first one I'm going to talk about today is vetiver. It's something that I think is a little misunderstood just because the way it blends into a fragrance, it doesn't often stand out. It's something you can smell in the background or feel the texture of, but it's not necessarily the main ingredient. Even things that are called vetiver, like Guerlain vetiver, is not something that really truly smells like vetiver itself. So I wanted to go just through a few of these and talk about some of the fragrances I use them in and the purpose, what they smell like, and just give you an overview to understand it's something that's a lot more complicated and nuanced than maybe what you might think about vetiver. So the first one fragrance to talk about is La Petite Prairie. It's one that I really wanted to make something that was go well with the incense in there, but also play well with the citrus. And so because citrus, it goes really well with Haitian vetiver, which is something that is really grassy. It's because vetiver itself is actually the roots of a grass. So Haitian vetiver is gonna get really grassy and green, and something that really blends into a fragrance really well. It supports, but it's not something that you would necessarily feel like it's the star of anything. To further go down with that, in the La Petite Prairie, I use vetiver acetate, which is going to be vetiver just really stripped down of all the impurities and things that would really give it character and just make it really basic. So when you smell this, it smells like, you know, what you would expect vetiver to smell like. It's nothing unique. It kind of takes away all the different characteristics that you would find from different terroirs and regions and different varieties, things like that. Because with this, I really wanted to make La Petite Prairie very wearable and something that kind of really stuck with the traditions of just, you know, highly wearable traditional cologne type fragrance and how that's evolved over the years. So with that, next one that you already have smelled is going to be Valoria. And that one, you know, it's got that deep, rich, fruity blueberry, orris type top note. And then underneath, you're going to have that, what I was going for, that kind of distorted guitar vibe. So it's going to have the more deep sort of growly things. There's going to be some incense in there because vetiver plays well with the incense because they both have a lot of texture to them. I want to use kind of a couple of different ones where one is Javanese vetiver, and that one is you can see by the strip it's really dark, and it's very, very smoky. It's got a really kind of woody undertone, but this one is the one that's just definitely going to be really inky, really smoky, something that, like, if you smell Encre Noir, that one is one that is, I feel like, has kind of more of that vibe with that inkiness of it. And then, so in tandem with that, I also use an Indian vetiver, which is just really thick and sappy. And this one, you're gonna get like that more of almost like a woody note, kind of a nutty texture to it as well. Something that does have a lot of texture, but it kind of balanced out that Javanese vetiver, so that way they would kind of you know, work together, and the Javanese vetiver would not overwhelm it. And so also one that I use in working on a new version now of Benton Park for an American perfumer. That one had tuberose and vetiver, and they used a few different vetivers as well, and we're actually working on a new version of it that I won't give too much away, but the vetiver in that will remain the same. And that one focused on that Haitian vetiver, that green vetiver that goes well with that tuberose accord that's really green and smells like what you would smell like in the air with tuberose. It comes from a headspace analysis of tuberose. So with that in mind, also too, used a double distilled vetiver. It has that same idea as the vetiver acetate, where it's distilled again, so you're just really taking some of the weird characters out of there, some of the stuff that makes it less manageable in an accord. But with the double distilled, it is a little bit more unique in its smell. So you smell it, it's still, you get a little bit of that woodiness, and there is gonna be some of that texture as well, but it is kind of green and really tame compared to especially the Javanese vetiver. So finally, I've been working on a new scent right now, and this is one that is gonna have petitgrain, some neroli, elderflower, a ton of orris root, which gives it really some smoothness to kind of really counteracts those. And then also, I started off featuring a Haitian vetiver in it. And I kind of thought about it, and it worked really well with those different notes, especially the orris. They really worked well together, but it didn't stand out, and I wanted to make this a vetiver focused one. So I went with kind of the granddaddy of all vetivers, a vetiver bourbon, not to be confused with what you might think the drink bourbon, but that refers to where it's from on the Isle of Reunion. This one is going to be just the most vetiver of vetivers, and if you've ever smelled vetiver by, of course I'm blanking on the name right now, Parfums d'Empire. It is, that is definitely the closest, I think, to what you would smell from actual vetiver bourbon. So you smell it, and it's gonna have some of those characteristics that you get from that Indian vetiver, but it's just a lot more refined, but also it's more refined, but also at the same time it's way more complex. There's a lot of floral aspects to this one that you just don't get in maybe some of the other ones. And, or especially not the Indian vetiver, maybe what sets it apart. So it's just really nuanced, it's almost a perfume into itself. So I had to really work to fit it in with that the vetiver bourbon fragrance I'm working on with the neroli and the orris, and I think it just kind of the floral aspects really work well with the orris, and then the it's also going to have some of those kind of like sharper characteristics that you kind of get from that Indian vetiver, but also there's like maybe that undertone of that deep richness that you kind of get from Javanese, but without the smoke in it. So I think that worked really well to counteract the really high-pitched, if you will, kind of bite of a petitgrain and a bitter orange neroli. So that's kind of the range of vetivers that I work with, and like anything, there's going to be many different varieties out there. I just have kind of my palette that I like to work with, things that kind of work well with my tastes, and that's what I use. And so you can smell those with my fragrance. Maybe you can find those online if you want to try them yourself in isolation, because vetiver is very fascinating. Or just, you know, grab a sample or a bottle of any of these perfumes and you can smell them in there as well. I'll be back soon with another video on a single ingredient or an accord, but for now, thanks for watching.